Hello, I'm Sarah. This is Hardcover Hearts, and I'm here for the Mid-Year Bookish Freakout Tag. This is a tag that's been around for a very, very long time, so long that the people who originated the tag are no longer on BookTube. It happens. But I'll put all the pertinent information below, and let's get started. So the best book you've read so far this year, this is hard. I'm going to be saying that this is the one that has kind of stuck with me, and I keep thinking about, and I keep remembering the vibe that I felt when I read it. This is a book that it surprised me. I thought it was going to be one thing, and it was very deceptively deep. So just as the Elena Ferrante books, when you first look at them, they seem like they're going to be hallmarky and very saccharine and sentimental, maybe. I felt the same was going to be true for this book, but it turned out to be so much more deep and had so much more resonance than I expected. And the book is Fresh Water for Flowers by Valerie Perrin. Let me show you that gorgeous cover. But yeah, you can see what I mean. When you see this cover, you think, oh, maybe a soft, delicate book. But this was anything but. This is a story of an old woman reflecting on her life, and specifically her marriage and her choices to connect and marry a man that was wholly, wholly, wholly unsuitable, and the impacts that had on her life. But it's told in small reflections, in small little moments and pieces. And you get a sense of who she is today as an older woman who has taken on this role as kind of a caretaker for this cemetery in this small town, and the role that she plays in the community, and how she thinks about death and memory and remembrance of people that you've loved or people that you've hated, and how that is carried out through the ceremonies in people's lives. The characterization in this book was phenomenal. The plotting, I thought, was great. There were a lot of depth, a lot of surprises in store. Yeah, I just loved it. It felt very French. It felt very filled with life philosophy. Yeah, so I keep thinking about this book, and I'm looking forward to reading her new one that just got translated into English called 3. So yeah, that's so far the best book I've read. Next is the best sequel that you've read. I'll say that this one, without a doubt, is from the Murderbot series that I just started to read because of Kazen. She did a video, what to read when the world's on fire, something like that. I really need to memorize that because I've referenced this video so many times. I'll put a link to it below. But she recommended the Murderbot series, and my first instinct was Murderbot just sounds so horrible. It's a science fiction story, and it's with robots who are actually meant to murder. And the whole thing just sounds like, how could this be cozy? But it was absolutely fantastic, so funny. We've got this character of this robot that is meant to be a security guard, meant to do security, but calls itself Murderbot. And this robot really is sentient in the sense that it's antisocial, doesn't like people, doesn't want to interact with people, doesn't really want to work, loves to download content and movies and things like that so that it can watch TV and watch series while it's supposed to be working, will duck out and hide in little places so they can't be found so it can just enjoy the shows. Just really, really funny. And then there's all sorts of other things that are happening in terms of world building, in terms of what they're supposed to be doing when they're not watching television and TV shows. But I liked the first one very much, but the second one was really fantastic. It's showing this Murderbot who has kind of stepped away from and been liberated, and exploring and trying to find out something on their own and connecting with other bots. And it's informing some connections and relationships that, despite its best efforts of trying to avoid. I found it charming, funny, so interesting, innovative, like so smart. This was a really big surprise. Now, I will say I haven't enjoyed some of the other ones in the series as much, but this one as a sequel was fantastic. Next up is what's a new release you haven't read but you want to. Now this one obviously just won the Women's Prize. This is Ruth Ozeki's The Book of Form and Emptiness. I've been on the fence about reading this, but a lot of people that I trust have really liked it. I know that it's going to be experimental. I read one of her first books, My Year of Eating Meat. And really loved it. I remember that in the 90s, but I haven't gelled with her writing since. It's just been very hard for me to get into, so I think I just need to kind of create some space in my reading schedule and just allow myself to dive right in. I did start trying the audio, but the narrator was not for me. Too robotic and a little dry. So yeah, it's the book for me. I got this one out of my library. So this is also because I read in my real life book club. I read the short list of the Women's Prize with my friends. So this was already going to be on the list, but I am starting to look forward to it, especially knowing that it won. So what is the most anticipated release for the second half of the year? There are two. The first one is there's a new Kate Atkinson book. I'll put a link to that below. I'm really, really excited. I don't need to know anything more than Kate Atkinson, and I'm willing to go on the journey because I find her stuff so good, so interesting. I like how she plays with our expectations. So yes, very excited by that. And then the second one, there's a new Maggie O'Farrell. It's called The Marriage Portrait. And I don't think this is a continuation from The Hamnet. I know that she said she's working on a sequel to that one, or an extension of the story, but I don't think that this is it. But both of those sound very exciting to me. Biggest disappointment. Oof. This one. Yeah, Hanya Yanagihara's To Paradise did not work for me, and didn't work for me in a very, very, very big way. To read this kind of big, chunky novel and to not really still walk away not understanding why it needed to be in 3 books that didn't really connect except for names and a place, even though that place is at different time periods and doesn't have a connecting thread. I couldn't figure out what she was trying to do, and therefore it wasn't successful for me. There were pieces that I liked, there were little bits, but in retrospect, I just felt like it was all over the place. And I wish she would work with an editor. There, I said it again. What's the biggest surprise? So I'll say the thing that surprised me the most was the newest Akwaeke Emezi. I was able to get their newest book through NetGalley, so I read it before, and You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty is the name of it, and it's a hot, steamy romance. Hot, steamy romance. I mean, like, there is plenty of a lot of really graphic sex in it, but also a lot of really poignant, really thoughtful explorations of grief and fear and complications and messiness about trying to find somebody and open yourself up to them emotionally, intimately, to trust again. I thought it was spectacular, and again, it's just reconfirmed why Mezi is such an interesting author to watch. Who is your favorite new author? So both of these, I have two, and both of these authors are new to me. They're not new, meaning they didn't do a debut. The first one I'm going to mention is Shirley Hazard. So this is the second Shirley Hazard book that I've read, and I just love her style. It's a little old-fashioned, it's a little dated, but she's a stylist in the mode of Anita Bruckner, in the mode of Elizabeth Bowen. She's someone who writes really, really beautiful sentences, atmospheric, a lot of emotional depth, psychological. All of these aspects really provide this sense of being in the hands of someone who's not just telling you a story, but really trying to craft an experience for you. This was fantastic, and I have more of her books that I'm looking forward to reading. But this one was published. This is The Evening of the Holiday, and this was published in 1966. So yeah, she's not a new writer. This is an older book, but just absolutely delightful. I'm really happy that I gave another opportunity to read another book. The other book that I read of hers that I loved was The Bay of Noon. That one was just absolutely remarkable, and it took me a while to get into it and to really understand how she writes, because again, it feels a little dated. It feels very precise, but there's some scenes in there that I will never, ever, ever forget. So yeah, same with this. And the other author that is new to me is Becky Chambers. So again, from the Kazan video, she mentioned A Psalm for the Wild-Built, Monk and Robot #1. And that book was so gentle and sweet, without being saccharine, very innovative, so imaginative. It sets us up in a world where robots have stopped doing the work of humans. They became sentient, and they said, thank you, but no, we're not going to be doing this trash anymore for you humans. And therefore, we're post that happening. The robots have left the civilization that they were kind of enslaved into, and they moved into the woods. And so there's a dividing line in this world between where the humans live and where the robots live. And this one very interesting character, non-binary character, they are a tea monk. And what a tea monk does is kind of akin to, think of a psychiatrist or a traveling doctor, like a village doctor. They have a little caravan, and they travel from little village to village. They set up, and people will come and sit and talk with them and tell them their woes, and they will make a tea for them specific to helping them through that, whatever they're going through, and sit and chat with them and help them through it. They're a little lost, they're a little dissatisfied and feeling confined by their life, and they try all these things to feel better, and at one point they decide that they're going to try to go into the forest to visit this one place, and they come up and meet face to face with the first robot that has been seen by humans in ages, and it starts this wonderful relationship between the two. Charming, thoughtful, and deep, like surprisingly deep. It feels very twee when I talk about it, but in some aspects it does read that way, like again, the gentleness, but I just thought it was phenomenal. And Becky Chambers' second book is coming out soon, the second part of this duology, so cannot wait for that. Newest fictional crush. I don't think I have one. Maybe admiration. So I think my admiration is for Plantagenet Palliser of the Palliser series by Anthony Trollope. I just really liked this man's view of the world and his views of his responsibility in the world. I mean, he's like literally like one of the most boring characters. And it's talked about over and over and over again that he's kind of dry. He's very moral. He's very righteous. He's very upright in what he wants to do and how he wants to live and what he expects from his family. And he's married to like this. Oh, this woman is a mess, but in a funny way. Lady Glencora. So I really admired, and especially in the later, as he kind of grows as a character in the later part of the series, and the very last book in the series, he really stepped up, and you could see him kind of dealing with the after effects of his wife's passing and his adult children, and trying to understand them in a way that he's never really had to before, because Lady Glencora kind of handled that. Yeah, so I deep admiration, though not a crush. Newest favorite character. So also from the Palliser series, which I finished just recently, Lizzie Eustace is hysterically funny. So she really comes to her own in the Eustace Diamond. This is a fantastic book in the Palliser series from Anthony Trollope, and she is just a scheming, lying, manipulative, brazen young woman, and she made me laugh. And I would constantly be shocked at the crap she tried to pull and gets away with over and over again. So it's like you're watching and you're like, don't do it, and she does it, and then you can't stop wanting to find out what's going to happen. She made me laugh so hard with her antics, and I also wanted to. I was pulling for her downfall at the same time. You want to see someone put a stop to her, and yet you can't stop watching to see what she's going to do next. It was delightful fun. Next up is a book that made you cry. And there hasn't really been very many books that made me cry. None until a book that I brought from London that I read, thanks to Eric Carl Anderson. We went book shopping and spent the day together in London, and he recommended this book. And this book just did me in. It's The Offing by Benjamin Myers. Now, this is the story of a young man. He's 16 years old, and this is after World War II. And he goes for a walk and leaves his family, leaves his village, his little coal mining village, to just see what's going on in the world. He's very disheartened with the state of the world, and he decides he's going to explore. So he takes it upon himself to just get his shoes on and start taking off. And the nature writing was so beautiful of what he experiences as he's setting out and walking and exploring the English countryside. And he comes upon this home and this beautiful meadow and this beautiful view, and he meets a woman who changes his life in the most powerful, profound, deeply moving, very funny ways. Dulcie is an older woman, and she just has this way of talking and a way of sharing and being thoughtful in the world that gives people their space, allows them to do what they're going to do, and accepts people. She's an accepting person. With a lot of secrets and a lot of things in her past that have challenged her, and their friendship, and their relationship, and what she does for him, and that what he's eventually able to do for her and give to her, it had me like sobbing. The jagged sob that happens of just the emotional depths and the connection and helping someone through trauma. Just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Books that made you happy. So I mentioned earlier Psalm for the Wild Built. That was absolutely delightful. And here's another one. This I read in anticipation of going to Florence. And it's not a perfect book. it is not by any means a perfect book. There's a lot of things that bother me, including this character right here. But Still Life by Sarah Winham made me laugh and made my heart soar and made me think of Florence and Santo Spirito and just set me in the right mood in anticipation of my trip. I love reading in advance of traveling, and this put me in the spirit, made me excited, and yeah, and I just enjoyed the characters, most of them very well in this book. So it made me happy. Most beautiful book. I would say my most beautiful book is this one that I got in Edinburgh, and this is Ali Smith's newest piece, and it's the companion piece. Now this is marred a little bit by this signed first edition, but I just love these covers. I love the David Hockney covers that happen with this book. This is kind of like a follow-up to her quartet. And yeah, and so I'm just really happy. I'm really happy to have this. And then lastly, what do you still need to read for the rest of the year? And I'm going to refer you to the massive videos of the hauls that I did when I was in Europe. Those are the ones that I have to read. So I'm going to leave it there and say, go ahead and look at those. And there's still a couple more that I need to edit and send out, but those are the books that I need to read and want to read. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to talking to you again. Bye.